things I make have been described as paintings. To break that down, they use a monochrome of oil paint and household gloss paint. The studio is a place where I can slow that type of collision down of these materials, and the paintings kind of emerged probably in the mid-90s as a type of grungy type of introduction to opening up abstract painting.
I'm really interested in how paint moves and that it's a liquid material. I'm also really interested in the format of the grid. So I use syringes, piping bags, and make many lines of paint. Once it's dry, I use it as if it's wool or thread and knit it together with knitting needles, or weave it in and out of rug canvas or makeshift looms sometimes.
There's a kind of investigation of the material of paint, the chemical structure. I think I know how to begin a painting. How to finish it is trying to get the painting itself to defeat its own expectations. Often these paintings have a kind of entropic type of life of their own.
A lot of the work recent years has been around kind of interruptions, a kind of a fraught relationship with time. The context of the space has been really fertile ground for me. I think the idea that this space is both an exhibition space, but it's also very clearly still a church. It's a good way to think about how Ireland functions, in that we talk about it in a really kind of progressive way, especially internationally, because we've had so many different referendums to kind of move us away from the kind of grip of the church. And yet, still 90% of our primary schools are still under the patronage of the Catholic Church. So it's quite interesting to be in that kind of in-between space.
For a long time, the paintings were kind of gravitationally made, and more recently I'm kind of using my hands. It's become a lot more primitive, and so to make paintings which compositionally go upwards and downwards is something I really want to bring into the church. One painting is two panels. It's a painting which began as a monochrome on the floor. Wet into wet, I still sprayed a lot of silver paint in. So you have these two kind of panels moving from each corner and kind of touching. It's a kind of grungy, but arguably flirts with an idea of spirituality in a kind of cartoon abstraction way.
Images in the work are kind of from everyday happenings in my life. There's been quite a few images in the new work of basins and original sin and cleansing it away, and again kind of reaching back to the context of the building and the altar and all of that stuff.
I first saw Emma's work when I was judging the John Moores Prize. She had a painting called Hurl. I like the idea of the things ending up as paintings, but going all around the houses. They're kind of, you could describe them as using types of paint as a ready-made. I think my paintings, even though they're kind of abstract, figuration haunts them explicitly. So I was kind of drawn to the way Emma uses that type of cartoon abstraction.
Alexis would have been a really big influence of mine when I was in college. I would have definitely had bad photocopies of his work stuck to my studio wall. One of the kind of most exciting things for me about Alexis's work, and something that I would like to move toward, is that kind of almost like an irreverence to those materials and to that history and to the kind of function of the grid, or as an image of modernism, and that there's this kind of slippage or falling apart, or irreverence, I think is probably a good word for here.